Welcome back to Mind Your Biz. My name is Seth, and in today's privacy chat, I have the great pleasure of being able to meet with Lisa Loud, the executive director at Secret Network. Now, we met in person not long ago at an event in Las Vegas, and I've got to say, she is a pleasant surprise, a pleasure to talk to, and I'm so excited that she made time to be on Mind Your Biz. Lisa, welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Seth. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad we were able to make this work. Despite the hectic schedule that I know you keep, I know there's a lot going on at Secret Network these days, being in the position that you're in, that you wind up having to touch a lot of those things that are changing over Secret Network. So
absolutely. But it's an honor to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
For the Mind Your Biz community that maybe doesn't know much about, you are a newer face in the broader crypto ecosystem. Tell us about you. Who is Lisa?
Yeah. My background is I was a software engineer at Apple for many years, and I left there. I joined PayPal, and at PayPal I kind of made the switch from being pure developer, pure technical, into kind of digital marketing and tracking analytics and everything. So when I left PayPal in 2017, I was the head of digital acquisition for the merchant side in North America. And the reason I left PayPal in 2017 was I tried to talk them into doing something with crypto. And because I had been successful at creating some new organizations within PayPal and getting executive support for that. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to get support for crypto because that's clearly the future, right? That did not work out so well. So I left PayPal and joined a crypto company called BitMEX. We were very small at the time, but we scaled up really fast. We were doing, over the course of 6 months, we increased to $6 billion of trading a day. So that was my first experience in crypto. And I will say that I was one of 55 employees, and I was the only woman in the company. So that was quite an experience.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's funny, you mentioned BitMEX, and those of us who are familiar with crypto from that time, a lot of us think of Arthur Hayes. He's a very striking individual, right? That had a lot of gravitas, visual presence, right? And so for you to be the most visible woman, right? Female employee, wow.
He was my boss. So I have a very challenging role of trying to keep Arthur PC on stage. And you can tell I didn't do a very good job of that. But
yeah, what can I say? People love a bad boy. They really do.
They do. Yeah, he was a rebel.
Yeah.
I also was the COO of Shapeshift, so I got to work with Eric Voorhees. What a pleasure to work at Shapeshift, one of the original OGs in the space. And the people that I met there are amazing. I'll have more news about that sometime soon. But for the moment, I decided, so after I left Shapeshift, it converted to a DAO, things changed a lot. I decided to start my own company. So I founded my own DeFi tools company in 2021, and I'm still on the board of that company. But I was actually looking at the Secret Network way back a year and a half ago because I really cared about the mass adoption of blockchain. And I really feel like there's no way that blockchain can become mainstream unless it has certain basic things that we expect in the Web 2 world. And privacy or confidential computing is one of those things. So I was tracking Secret Network way back a year and a half ago. And when someone reached out to me saying that Guy was looking for someone to lead the foundation, I was thrilled. I was like, okay, this I can get behind. And we all know it's great to have a paycheck, but what's better is to be paid for something that you care about and you're passionate about. So I feel very lucky.
Absolutely. It seems like within cryptocurrency as well, there's so many ways to, in terms of having a professional trajectory into the space, having a career that's blockchain only or being crypto full-time. It's the holy grail for a lot of people. But like you're saying, if you have that ideological alignment, if you have that passion for what you're doing, then in strange circumstances or even in down markets or even when partnerships unexpectedly wither because it just happens in this industry, then you can be carried through with that passion. That's amazing.
Yes, exactly. Earlier this year, I was very surprised, but thrilled to be named one of the top influencers in crypto for 2023 by Cointelegraph. I felt like that was the pinnacle and it couldn't get any better. And then the secret thing happened. And so here I am today. And yeah, So we're building privacy for blockchain. We're building not so much privacy like Monero or Tornado or any of those mixers. It's more about confidential computing, being able to choose what information you share with the world. And because blockchain, we know, is very transparent, right? And what information you don't share with the world. And I think people are a little bit like sleepwalking into this new future where blockchain provides transparency of your whole entire life. That's not a good thing.
No, absolutely not. Let's talk about that. So in terms of some of the fundamental problems with blockchain and cryptocurrency in general, you hit the nail on the head there. Some people don't understand that we're looking at completely public and transparent ledgers, and that maybe poses a risk to things that they would rather not reveal to just anyone. Off camera, we had a little chuckle about the phrase, if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear. What do you view as some of the problems with that statement and with privacy and people's perception of it in general?
Right. I think the major problem with it that I have is that it was used as a slogan by the Nazi propaganda machine. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. And it's simply not true. In reality, what happens is if you are being watched, you'll change your behavior. And studies have shown that you'll change your behavior to match what you think are the expectations of whoever's watching you. So what you do is no longer dictated by your internal moral compass or your passion. Your smallest act is dictated by what you think someone is thinking when they're watching you. We love the beautiful dream of the blockchain world where everything's on chain, everything's immutable, everything's fast, crosses borders, decentralization, fairness, equitability. But what we don't associate with that is the nightmare of complete transparency.
Definitely. It seems like a bare minimum from a business standpoint. It's incredibly anti-competitive to have every single bit of your ledger public. And on the individual level, for some reason, individuals, right? Retail participants seem to not understand that those same risks and problems and threats are there for them as well.
I like to bring it home with an example. I'm sure anyone can relate to this because it happens all the time. So I was having a conversation with a colleague at Secret, and he said, "Oh no, I've got to go. My cat just got out. I need to find him." A couple of hours later, I'm on my computer, and I notice that all of a sudden I have all these ads for cat locator collars. So I'm like, that is weirdly specific. Why am I... Could it be related to that conversation I had earlier? And I concluded that, yeah, it was. It was all about Google listening. So think about that. That's a minor inconvenience. It's not that important. Who cares? Google was listening to what I was talking about, heard a problem, thought of a solution, trying to help me. Great. But if you magnify that over your entire life, and not just when you're out in the world or when you're talking, but everything you do being transparent and watched, it's really quite scary to think about a life lived under the microscope. Oh, and by the way, he found his cat.
That's amazing. Yeah. The example of the cat and Google listening in, like you're saying, the chilling effect, right, of speech, of just knowing that at any moment, the little supercomputer in your pocket that's primarily an Intel device that you can also happen to make phone calls on. Yeah, that it's always reporting everything about you, including the SSID of every Wi-Fi network that you ever connect to, and tracking your location within about 3 feet of anywhere that you are at any given time. There's so much in that dragnet, like you're saying, information. But in blockchain and in cryptocurrency, I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that we're not always necessarily, with that Google example, we're not necessarily trying to fight an adversary that's interested in what they can glean about us right now, but potentially in the future, go back in time, crawl the Block Explorer, and then now, especially with these large language models that are just getting, they're the worst they'll ever be, right? They're going to get exponentially better over time, that we're really fighting against that unknown threat.
Yeah, it's so thousands of years ago, people walked. Some of those footprints were stored in rock and fossils, and archaeologists can get a lot of information about what those people did. They've recently changed the date that humans appeared in America by several 100 years, maybe 1,000 years, just from finding new fossils. So there's so much information you can glean from those physical fossilized footprints that are ancient. Now, in our current world, we're talking about fossilizing things instantly, right? Like blockchain is like this permanent etching of your behavior. So you have a really good point that in the future, digital archaeologists will be able to look back and say, oh, you did this, and the AI can then take that body of information, compare it to other similar data sets, and say, this person was probably a diabetic because they bought these products, or they probably had an affair because this pattern of call behavior happened and this matches. Like, think about that. Your footprints that you're laying down right now digitally are like permanent. They're there forever. And as technology increases, people will be able to look back and decode a lot of what you said, even if right now, like you said, Google may or may not be interested in what you're doing right now, but this is a record forever.
The prime example in the age of big data is Target, right? Apparently, they store so much of the sales behavior, right, of the purchase behavior of Target shoppers, right, the IRL shoppers, and then the online shoppers, that they've been able to predict with pretty high confidence various things going on in their customers' lives. And there was a lawsuit of a family. Mailers were being sent to this home for neonatal stuff, for baby care. And the head of household said, this can't be true. We've got a couple of children. They're teenagers. I've got a teenage daughter. She's not pregnant. She was.
Oh, wow.
Turns out she absolutely was. And the way he found out was because Target kept on sending them all of these mailers about buying baby stuff. And that was just them looking at that sales data at one retail outlet, one retail location. So imagine in the aggregate, all of the other data points that you could scrape about a given user and their behavior at retail locations, like you're saying on blockchain too. Yeah, it would reveal a lot of interesting things.
And it's primitive AI or maybe manual. I don't even know if it's AI. It might just be logical pattern recognition. But if you take that and progress it forward to how things will be in the future, then yeah, they could find out a lot more, like what was the date of conception and who they were with at the time.
Thankfully, a lot of these corporations, I think, they're greedy enough to not want to share the data they collected on people, because if they did, I think, like you're saying, even just using logical tools and working with like machine learning and just very advanced lookup tables, right? You don't necessarily need AI to know enough about people to make their lives really hard right now.
So that's why it's really important not just to have, so Secret Network is a great tool, but apps need to build with privacy as a foundational element. So it's not just using a different blockchain, it's actually thinking about how this plays out long term. And this is really on the developer community to, when they conceive of new apps that could be really useful, to think about the privacy elements of it, because this is basically moral responsibility for the future. Understanding that where things are going is towards more AI, towards more transparency. How do you protect the users of your app so that they don't have any negative consequences down the road from using your application? And I don't know for sure if we have the infrastructure to incentivize those developers legally or in a regulatory environment or anything, governments. That's not there yet. So it's really on us as builders to consider those things. And I hope, what I would love to do is evangelize the concept that privacy is a fundamental tenet of our freedom. And anyone who believes in cryptocurrency because of the additional freedoms and fairness that it brings should also care about privacy with the same degree of dedication and passion. Because, we're ideologically driven. I would say crypto is more like a religion than a technology in a lot of ways. And
it's true, including the cult-like behavior. Yeah, yes, it's true.
And the different denominations, right? We have the maxis and we have the ethers, and there might be a real name for them. I don't know it. But in crypto, we have those people who believe something and they're so passionate about it. And coming from Shapeshift, where there's a lot of very passionate people about crypto, dyed-in-the-wool, diehard like fans of crypto for the future, libertarianism, etc. I got to see a lot of that religiosity, that fervor for the principles. So if we are such an ideologically driven culture rather than technology driven culture, then why isn't the privacy conversation bigger today? That's the question I have.
I've been trying to answer that question for the last 5 years on this channel by conducting these conversations as publicly as possible to try to attract more like-minded people so we can grow that conversation. Because, yeah, from all those different maximalist camps, because the Monero people are very much, they feel like they've got it. We're there. Mm-hmm. And then the Tornado Cash people thought that they had it too. Yeah, mm-hmm. OFAC had a word about that, or the Treasury had a word about that. But yeah, it's as far as it being a conversation that people are willing to have, I think a lot of people get hung up with the fact that they somehow equate privacy in financial transactions to criminal intent, right? And we keep hearing this. It's a trope that just won't die.
Right.
So we keep hearing it. And most people just don't understand enough, right? I think Sir Francis Bacon said that a little bit of truth, a little bit of knowledge will bring you away from, I'm paraphrasing now, the truth, but a lot will bring you back again. Mm-hmm. And most people they've got just enough information to think, if I try to hide that, then I might seem like I'm trying to hide something. Mm-hmm. And they don't think about the long-term ramifications or the fact that the most fraudulent use of any currency has almost always been fiat currencies, right? And central banks at that, or retail banks.
Yeah, we could get into that discussion. So it seems like a really easy comparison to me. If people say privacy is related to criminal activity, okay, so publish your bank account. Publish it.
Yeah, they won't.
Show me all the transactions in your bank account. I want to know what you're spending your money on.
Yeah, that's solid. Or yeah, so you have nothing to hide, right? So go ahead and change your clothes with the shade open. Yeah, or take a shower with the door open, whatever.
Yeah, it's not about nothing to hide. It's about having a decent, realistic life that belongs to you rather than that belongs to those who are watching you.
Totally aligned with that. I love what I've seen so far of Secret Network. I'm going to pull up the website just onto screen really fast. There we go. That's the view I was looking for. And let's just briefly, this is scrt.network, the main page. Tell us a little bit about the ways in which Secret helps to fill those gaps in privacy, confidential computing, anonymity. How does it enable dApp makers, and how does it enable retail participants to enjoy better privacy?
Yeah, great question. I think I'll go with examples because it's easier to assimilate than like technical jargon. But for example, if you want to do a casino game, or let's say poker, online poker. If you were to play online poker and your hand was written to blockchain and everybody could see it, you could not play poker, right? There's no way to do these games of chance that rely on a certain amount of confidentiality without having some factor that allows you to hide certain information. And I would use another example of decentralized finance, since that's where I came from as well. I started a company in DeFi for DeFi tools in 2021. So DeFi is a very interesting thing right now because everything you do is publicly written to the chain. And if you're a large institution, someone can very easily reverse engineer your investment strategies by looking at your wallets. They can see what you did. They can see how much money you have. And even worse, front running is a very big problem in DeFi because the transaction goes into the mempool, which is public, and people can read it and then do a sandwich arbitrage on your transaction and extract all the value. You get left with nothing and they take all of the profit from that transaction. DeFi is a very good example of where Secret is, and Shade is one of the apps that's being built on Secret. And because it allows you to hide, it allows you to do private DeFi. It allows you to do private investing without sharing your strategy with everybody else. We also have a blackjack game that uses Secret. NFTs is a great example. Today, all these people who own these great NFTs, amazing, rare NFTs, even if they have lost value, still they're pretty cool. If they put it on their profile somewhere, anybody can go look up their wallet and see how long they've had it. They can see what other transactions their wallet did or what that wallet interact. They can get an incredible amount of financial or token information from you just because you're using your NFT publicly. Like that is not, I don't think everyone thought that through, right? Because you display your NFTs, you're proud of them, but you're exposing yourself by displaying them. So that's another good example. At the top there, you'll see that there's secret Ethereum. And the reason we're really focusing on secret Ethereum today is that we see that there is a huge groundswell of development growth in the Ethereum ecosystem. And there's a huge need for data privacy in EVM. Secret has the ability to be privacy as a service. And what that means is you can build natively on Ethereum. And then when you have data that needs to be protected, you use a secret network contract to do that. So you don't have to build from the ground up on secret network. You can use privacy as a service to protect information or computations that shouldn't be made public.
and you promised no jargon, and we went all the way over into bridge technologies and new privacy functionality for EVM. Here's the thing, though. My audience loves it, and I appreciate you bringing that up. But some of these use cases, like you said, especially since Twitter began to add support for users assigning an EVM wallet, signing with a private key on Ethereum to then display whatever their favorite NFT is as their profile picture, and also correlating that with real world identity, as certain people have been they've been challenged to prove their identity by showing X.com, showing them some kind of photo ID, and further correlating that with fiat payment with their Twitter Blue subscriptions. Right. It's a terrible trio, right? Like, prove your real world docs, give us real world payment, and correlate it to your favorite crypto address. What could go wrong?
And then make sure you trust the head of the X corporation to be very circumspect with your data, right? So there's a lot of trust involved there, and that's Web 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I love that this is with Shade, as you mentioned. I had a great conversation with Carter a few weeks ago, and some of the other applications. So that's Shade Protocol, but it's Stash, I think, is one example on Secret Network of being able to use those NFTs in a more confidential and private way. Those applications, they make sense to me. I do believe that privacy is not just a fundamental tenet of freedom, but a fundamental human right. We don't get angry at a lion for using its claws when it's cornered. We don't get angry at a bear for being big and scary. We don't get angry at animals that naturally evolved to have camouflage. It shouldn't be strange that humans want to defend what's theirs and maybe keep it private. I think I've kept you a little longer than I promised I would. This has been great, and I really appreciate making time for it. Lisa, what are the best places for people to interact either with you or directly with the Secret Network, get involved in the community? Or I guess, in summary, where would you like viewers of this media to go, and what would you like them to do when they get there?
Okay, I want everybody to come into the privacy community. I want your opinions. I want to hear what people think, what they're thinking about. Like, what are the applications you think need privacy? Is it healthcare? Is it business processes? There's so many applications. I want us to be having these conversations, and I will join in this conversation. I want to hear from you. So come to our website and join our forum. There's a lot of discussion on our forum. There's our website, and you can find it in the top link. There's a forum button. Or you can join our Telegram group, the Secret Community Telegram group. There's a lot of chatter in there as well, and fun stuff, and pumpkin contests as well, in case that's important to you. So join us and join the conversation. If you are a builder and you want to build with privacy as a foundational element, we offer training on how to use Secret as privacy as a service. We offer workshops. We're doing hackathons all the time. So there's so many opportunities for you to benefit from building in Secret. You'll have a community of support, and you'll be doing one of the most important things today in blockchain, in my opinion.
Amazing. Okay, My Neighbors community, you heard it straight from the woman herself. Lisa told you how you can get involved. Links are in the description as well. It's very easy. All you have to do is press a button and you can go and join and you can be involved. It's not very hard for you to ask these questions either, and let Lisa and her team know what you're thinking about in terms of privacy. And if you're a fan and you're not already communicating with this community, then you're hearing it from me too. You have to increase the volume of the conversation, make it a little bit louder. So Lisa, appreciate your time.
It was so fun to talk to you. Really, I enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Mind Your Biz community, again, links are in the description and they're free. Costs you nothing. Costs you nothing to go support. Costs you nothing to go have that conversation. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, remember, stay private and mind your biz.